Good morning from Cannabis News, Florida. Today we're with Steve Reilly. He's with the Insa Cannabis Company. They're in multiple states, but have a very big presence in the state of Florida. He's the general counsel, and what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks is start talking about different MMTCs within the state of Florida and get their perspective on the possible movement from cannabis from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3, and basically would be the pros and cons of the effect on the patient and their business, basically the cannabis business, and how that would shape up in the future for them. So, Steve, how are you doing this morning?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Good, good. So to start off with, as we were talking before we went through on live, that it hasn't passed yet, but tell us your perspective on the process we're in today, and assuming it goes forward, what are the pros and cons?
Yeah, so obviously the DEA recommendation to Schedule 3 and the beginning of the process to do that is great news for the industry, and I think also for patients. We're expecting that will be moved to Schedule 3 through the process. The timing of that will probably be a question, but one of the things we're paying attention to is whether or not there might be litigation over this and whether or not there could be injunctive relief. So we're paying attention to that as part of the process, and just want to make sure that that's something that doesn't become problematic as well. But for the most part, we expect that this will be rescheduled to Schedule 3. Cannabis will be rescheduled to Schedule 3. I think the biggest impact for the industry is going to be in Chapter 280E, which probably everybody's heard a lot about. But essentially what that would do is just treat us like any other business. Right now, we're not able to deduct a lot of our business expenses. It creates an effectively much higher tax rate than other businesses. And relief from 280E will essentially just put us on par with other businesses. So that would be the biggest impact to the industry itself. I think the other big impact would be on patients, because what this is going to do is allow for additional funding for research and additional research on the medical benefits of cannabis, which we know are present. So this acknowledgement by the DEA that cannabis has medical benefits should lead to further research and development of products that can help patients. It's also unique for Florida because of the ballot question that's going to be up, Amendment 3. This fall. We're part of the Smart Safe Florida campaign, and I feel like this indication from the DEA that cannabis has medical benefits and isn't as dangerous as a Schedule 1 drug is a positive message to send ahead of that election on November 5th as well.
Yeah. What do you think? And I had this question come up to me the other day from somebody. I really didn't have the answer. They're trying to pass the banking law to be able to bank. Do you think that the movement to Schedule 3, depending, it's a chicken and egg, which comes first, if that changes. But let's say the banking rule doesn't change relating to that. For the Schedule 3, automatically change the banking rules, do you think?
No, we don't think so. So that's our analysis of it, is that won't change any rules related to banking and moving to Schedule 3. That it would take an act of Congress, which we're not super optimistic about. I mean, I think it's been talked about for years, having some banking relief and a number of other things. I think it's been expected it would have passed the previous Congresses, and it hasn't. We'd like to see it, but we're not super optimistic that that's going to occur anytime soon.
Do you think by the rescheduling, well, I believe that rescheduling, you're going to have a reduction in the stigma of what cannabis is all about to the general public?
Yeah, and I think that's helpful, and that kind of goes back to the Amendment 3 point that I brought up. Is it's a good indicator if you have the DEA saying, "Hey, this shouldn't be a Schedule 1 drug. It's not that dangerous. And it has medical benefits." Certainly, that's going to run up against the opposition to the Amendment 3 campaign, who's going to be talking about how dangerous this drug is, and it's really the opposite message that the DEA is sending at this point.
Right. What do you think about the impact on the justice system relating to this? I know this is taken to a different level, but obviously that's a huge change.
I think, yeah, and it is. I mean, critical and probably long overdue, and it's helpful not to necessarily have to wait for changes in laws for that type of thing. So I mean, it's nice to see that rescheduling is probably long overdue.
Okay. What do you think as far as lost my train of thought for a second, but the effect on the business itself, from, I know the state of Florida doesn't have it, but I know you in Massachusetts have it, relating to medical and also recreational or adult use, and different sales and different ways of being able to sell, different tax situations going on. How do you think that affects it? And then I have a follow-up question relating to physicians. So,
For the businesses, being able to sell an adult use is beneficial. It expands our customer base. Right now, you've got to go through a process to be able to be a patient in Florida to be able to purchase cannabis, and
mhm.
eliminating that process makes our products more available and accessible to other folks in Florida. But also, people that come into Florida. Florida's got a huge tourist population that
Mhm.
influxes and outfluxes throughout the year. So, it has us now, like other businesses in the state, the ability to sell to those folks as well. So it really is a significant impact on the business, a conversion to adult use.
So, and a follow-up to that, and let's just take the negative approach to it and say that the adult use may not pass in the state of Florida. Just take that, say it doesn't pass. Now you have a medical program, a robust medical program. I mean, you have about close to 900,000 patients, robust medical program. But if it's switched to Schedule 3, and Schedule 3 drugs can be actually, as opposed to recommended, prescribed by any physician, almost any physician, how does that affect the cannabis industry, do you think?
I
I
mean,
know
I
it
think,
takes a lot of, it's going to take a lot of laws changing and making it, but I thought it was an interesting dynamic of what that could do.
yeah, it's an interesting perspective on it. And certainly, I think OMMU would have to make changes to the regs in terms of patient registration. But certainly could expand, the move to Schedule 3 could expand the availability just by making it easier to be able to become a patient in Florida. One of the things that we advocate for in different states too, when we go to state houses and we're involved in government, is to try to make it less onerous on patients to become registered, and then also to be able to renew. For example, not requiring renewals every year, but requiring them biannually, things like that. So I think moving to Schedule 3 hopefully makes it easier for physicians, or physicians more willing to either participate in the program, or that OMMU would make it easier for them to participate in the program.
And I guess, not to keep you long, but I guess one final question. What do you think about the pharmaceutical companies now jumping into the space when to switch to Schedule 3?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Schedule 3 doesn't mean legal. It also doesn't mean interstate commerce, which I think for a lot of those companies is an important aspect of this. So I'm interested to see what will happen once the legal challenges are done, once we are in Schedule 3, and whether that piques the interest of some of those companies. I can tell you that right now it hasn't, but
Mhm.
in the future, maybe it will.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to keep on watching that, Steve. We're going to come back to you on kind of a regular basis as things begin to move. But I think it was a very, very big move for the cannabis industry. And like you had mentioned, especially in the state of Florida right now, when in November we're voting for adult use, this does help to say that the federal government is saying that this is not a Schedule 1. It's not a cocaine drug. It's not a heroin drug. It's a drug that is acceptable and has medical benefits. So.
Yeah, and make no mistake, this is going to be a very close election in November. There's going to be a lot of opposition to Amendment number 3. We're involved in the Smart and Safe Florida campaign and doing as much as we can to support that amendment, but there's going to be a lot of opposition to it. And as I said earlier, I think this is a really helpful messaging from the DEA. It's going to run contrary to what a lot of the opponents to Amendment 3 are going to be saying. So it's a helpful thing for the campaign. And I would just encourage folks to pay attention as the campaign's going on. Everybody who's interested to visit smartandsafeflorida.com as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I find that as time went on, where more people were very pro adult use, all of a sudden you're seeing some pushback now, which is a little bit surprising And I don't know if it's coming from medical patients or not, but there's some pushback from it that we're hearing out there from my group of medical physicians. They're hearing pushback from their patients, believe it or not, which surprises me.
We see a little of that, but I think if the program's done properly, there shouldn't be concerns for medical patients. There should be product that's set aside for them. For
Right.
example, the Massachusetts, I think, has been a program that's been good. There's no taxes on the medical side. So they've done things to be able to preserve the integrity of the medical program to the benefit of the patients. And I think Florida needs to prioritize that if adult use is passed this fall.
I think they need to kind of understand and set the regulations for recreational and reset some regulations for medical. So medical does have priority over recreational as far as product wise, because I think that's the fear from a lot of medical patients, where they're saying, well, the product I need for true medical benefits are going to run out because people are just going to go in there and buy it, and basically you're going to run out of product. So.
Yeah, and so we're hoping for a situation there like we had here in Massachusetts where ballot question passes, legislature understands that they need to do things to actually get this up and running. They go in, recognize that there's a medical side of this and an adult use side, and kind of figure out a way for them to coexist, which took place here. It's been an effective transition, and we have a viable medical market that runs alongside the adult use market here.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. All right, Steve, I appreciate it. I won't keep you. And we're going to get this posted on the website and the newsletter on Wednesday. And we look forward to talking to you as things begin to change in the cannabis market in the state of Florida.
Yeah, let's stay in touch. I'm excited to talk to you about the campaign as it goes forward.
Yeah, this is Charles Felix, South Florida, Cannabis News Florida. And also, if you're also looking for news about the healthcare industry, don't forget to tune in to South Florida Hospital News and Healthcare Report. Steve, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.